You're watching Byline Wilmington on CBS 10 WILM. Here's your host, Don Ansell.
We're back. Our guests are the Mayor of Wilmington, Bill Saffo, New Hanover County Commissioner Bobby Greer. We're talking about how much right do you have to know about the business that your government is carrying on and what qualifies as public business. The North Carolina Press Association takes the position that there is no expectation of privacy in government email. Isn't it easy for the public to assume that some people in government would use the branding of personal or confidential in the subject line of an email as a way to communicate while shielding that information from the public?
It could be, I could see where the public could definitely
Everybody's
pursue that.
Suspicious of government.
Absolutely, and sometimes it should be. I'm not saying, it's good to
Particularly
have
the media.
Explicitly the media, and the media, I always said, is the fourth rail of politics. I mean, they obviously are the watchdogs. They watch us and make certain that we're adhering to the laws and to the ordinances and to the statutes of the country and the state. I look at it this way. Everything that comes into that city's offices, into the mayor's office, into the council's offices, whether they're deemed public or whether they're deemed private, to me is public realm. At some point in time, it will see the light of day. And you have to make conscientious decisions as to whether you want to make it private or public, even if you have the option of making it private. And I always try to go to the side of caution and say, Tom, what can we do with this, or what can't we do with this? Obviously, we have every single day at the City of Wilmington, the Public Information Officer, as well as our City Clerk, are disseminating information that citizens have called in about. They want a copy of this, or they want a copy of that. And we have to provide that information to them within a timely manner.
Because it was found that the city was allowing emails marked private in the subject line to be shielded from public scrutiny. When I say public scrutiny, I mean there's a mechanism in place where public information gets forwarded to the city's public email server for the public to access and read.
Exactly. And there was an article done in the local paper by, I believe, by Pat Gannon. And in 2002, the Wilmington Star News asked for our public emails to have access to those public emails at all times. A lot of the stories that break sometimes are done based on the fact that Mr. Gannon, or the writer that's covering the city, would look at those public emails. When citizens send me an email or a staff person sends me an email, they know what's going on in the city. And so a lot of that information goes directly to them, or they have an opportunity to look at that information. There was about 36,000 emails that had been dubbed private. Some of those obviously should have been dubbed public. They shouldn't have been private put onto those emails. The City Council right now is asking the Audit Committee to take a look at establishing a policy very similar to what the County of New Hanover has done, to make certain that not only the City Council is aware as to what is public or private, but also that all staff and all employees of the City of Wilmington also adhere to a very strict policy in regards to making certain that things are not shielded from the public, that shouldn't be shielded from the public. I think the lady from the Star News, the editor, made a very nice piece and said that if it's a private matter, then has nothing to do with city business, you shouldn't be using public emails to communicate. In the course of business, I know that we have people that, family members or friends that will call or will email and say,
want to have dinner tonight.
Have dinner tonight, or pick up the laundry or what have you, and they dub that private. And if you're going to be doing that, pick up the telephone or have another way of communicating as opposed to going directly to a public email and then dubbing it private like that. So we've got to make certain that we adhere to the policy and make certain that the citizens understand that we're adhering to the policy. And the Audit Committee will be bringing us a report very soon as to the policy that we will be adhering to.
Bobby, do you think the public should trust government employees to decide which emails the public should see and which ones they should not see?
No, I think that by having a policy, county employees have to follow that policy. So there's certain guidelines of what you can do and what you can't do, and they should adhere to that.
But there's really no oversight. If an employee marks something private, and that is not, it's their judgment, isn't it?
Private doesn't trigger anything in the county. Confidential does.
Does someone else take a look and see if, was it really confidential? Was this really something that can legally be shielded from public scrutiny?
I don't know the answer to that question, but I will point out that in our Human Resources Office, which is in the County Administration Building, we have a computer in there. And anybody that wants to walk in can use that computer and access any of our emails at any time.
Can they do it from home?
I don't think so.
No?
That's over my head. Maybe there's a
Out
way
of
to
your
do that. But I do know that that's available to anybody who wants to go in there and look at my emails or anybody in the county at any time. So that's available. And I understand it's also used pretty much.
Quite a bit, probably by the media
Uh-huh.
in good measure. I was thinking in the private sector, if we likened this situation to the private sector, do you think a company should have access to emails sent by their employees on company time and company equipment?
Obviously, we should have oversight. There's no doubt about it. Because if we
if somebody's working for me, should I be able to see, be able to access, is that a privacy issue? Do they have the right to use my equipment if they're working for me?
In the public realm, Don, I think that the city manager, I think that we have a right to know what is being said out there. Obviously, if we have city employees, or if we have city council folks, or even the mayor that is violating that policy, we want to know. Obviously, it could be a detriment to the city and to the taxpayers of the city if information is being passed out there or is out there that should be private, that is being put out there as public, and vice versa. So I think it's very important that we adhere to a very strict policy. And this thing has given us the opportunity to really look at our policy, to make it more accessible and to make it more accountable, make us all more accountable, city council as well as city staff. So I think this is giving us the opportunity to do that. Plus the fact is that we do have the news media that are on top of us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, that are looking at those emails. And if we're not going to adhere to that policy, I would venture to say very quickly the citizens of this community are going to know about it.
Is it irritating? Is it irritating that you can hardly, we were talking about going to the grocery store, you can hardly go to the grocery store without somebody, accosting you.
It's not irritating to me. I think a good rule of thumb to go by is that if you use an email, just consider it open to everyone,
Period.
Regardless, because it is, even though someone deletes it, it's really not gone. It's still there for somebody to look at if they need to. So
And that's what I want to know. Where does it go? Where is cyberspace?
Well, I asked that question because I wanted to know.
Right.
And there is evidently a location in the city, evidently it's a private firm that stores all this data.
Really?
And it must be tremendous to keep every email that's come through, whether it's been deleted or hasn't been deleted, for everyone.
Forever.
So.
And I would also venture to say that would probably be in perpetuity, that those emails will stay there forever. I mean, it's part of the historic basis of.
We need to take a break. We're going to come back and we'll ask the question, what happened to phone calls? When we come back, stay with us.